Derrick Rose puts one question in all of our minds. What if he never got hurt? We're picking up where he left off, and our goal is to win as many rings as we can in the next decade. In 2012, the Bulls will have an amazing year, winning 62 games and capturing the second seed in the East. Derrick won his second MVP at just 23 years old after averaging 28 and 10 on one of the best teams in the league. In the first round, they're facing Atlanta. This series will be over in 5 though, as the Bulls ram through the Hawks. Next up was the Knicks, and this series will be very competitive to say the least. In both Chicago and New York, the teams will split the games at home, and this series was tied 2-2. Back at home for Game 5 though, D-Rose dropped 37 points and 13 assists to give the Bulls a 3-2 series lead. But in the Garden for Game 6, Carmelo and Amari were forcing a Game 7. And unfortunately for the Bulls, they were going home through New York. And here's where I introduce the mystery boxes. Each year the Bulls fail to win a championship, I'll be giving Derrick an upgrade to help him out. And with the pick that was originally from the Nets,
with the second pick in the 2012 NBA draft,
the Chicago Bulls select
Bradley Beal from the University of Florida,
creating a very interesting backcourt. In Season 2, the Bulls would be one of the best teams in the league, winning 55 games. Derrick averaged 26 and 9, and in the first round, the Bulls would be facing the 76ers. Chicago was on a roll though, and Philly would be going home in just 5 games. Next, we're facing the Knicks once again and got a chance for revenge. Both teams won their home games, and the series would soon be 2-2. But once the Bulls landed in Chicago for Game 5, they were ready, and they'd be taking this game. And just needing one more win to advance to the conference finals, D-Rose dropped 30, 12, and 12, sending the New York Knicks home. And in the way of Derrick's first finals appearance was none other than the Miami Heat. Surprisingly enough though, Chicago was still Game 1 in Miami by a 16-point margin. Game 2 would be very close though, as the Heat won 95-94 and topped the series at 1 each. However, the Heat dominated in Windy City and the series was now 3-1. And in Game 5, Miami played hard, sending the Bulls home once again. But D-Rose would get yet another boost to his shooting abilities. In Season 3, the Bulls will win the most games in the league, and they look truly amazing. In the first round, they faced a young Toronto squad with DeMar, Giannis, and Draymond. The gap in experience of both teams was apparent though, as the Bulls will be advancing in just 5 games. We do the same to the Hawks in the second round, and in the conference finals, we're up against the Knicks for a 3rd consecutive year. In Game 1, D-Rose exploded, dropping 35 points from the Knicks. In Game 2 though, the Knicks had 3 players score for 30 points, and they beat the Bulls to tie the series. They also won the 2 games at home, handling over the Bulls with a 3-1 lead. But in Game 5, Rose and Beal elevated, getting it done at home and giving Chicago fans hope. They also captured a 1-point win on the road at the buzzer, tying this series at 3 apiece. And now it was Game 7 into the NBA Finals. Carmelo and Beal both dropped 35 points, but it was Chicago who got the win. They've been heading to their first finals since 1998. And apparently, history repeats itself, because just like back then, it was the Jazz who were playing the Bulls in the finals. In Game 1, it seemed as the Bulls would blow out the Jazz, but in the 4th, they'd outscore Chicago 38-12 and stole a game right under their noses. But then in Game 2, the Bulls kept their feet on the gas, and the series was now 1-1. In Utah for Game 3 though, things will be going down to the wire. Jimmy jumped to the basket. Is he gonna pull it? Okay, floater Jimmy. And it's good. There we go, boys. 5-point lead with 38 seconds left. If we get a stop right here, boys, this game is pretty much ours. We have a 2-1 series lead. Okay, Monte Ellis drives it. Pump fakes. He pulls it. And he misses a good. I got a foul. Okay, good. Let's see, man. Carlos Boozer free throw. Let's see. First one. It is good. Okay. And we'll hit the second one. If we hit the second one, I'm going to send out this game. Let's see. If you got to knock this down, please, Boozer. Please. And the free throw is good, securing a 7-point lead. With now a 2-1 series lead and the momentum, the Bulls will still game 4 in Utah, and they were now just 1 game away from being champions. And as expected, the Bulls will finish the series, and D-Rose will be claiming his first NBA championship. And instead of the mystery boxes, he'll be spinning the champions wheel with better upgrades and odds. And with his upgraded passing attributes, he averaged 9 assists on top of 24 points, and the Bulls looked just as good as the previous season. The Bulls won 65 games. They were only 2nd in the Eastern Conference. That's because LeBron went back to Cleveland, joining Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, forming a squad that looked unbeatable. But before worrying about them, we had to make the conference finals. In the first round, we faced the Paul George-led Pacers team, and although very talented, the Bulls will sweep right through them. We do the same to Atlanta, and now we're waiting for the Cavaliers. But unbeknownst to us, the Raptors would beat the Cavaliers in the second round. Despite taking down that monster that we didn't want to match up against, the Raptors just couldn't compare to our roster though, and we'd be headed to yet another NBA Finals. Here were the Thunder, who had a big 3 of Russ, KD, and James Harden. They also just came back from being down 3-1 against the Jazz in the Western Conference Finals. Game 1 was a dogfight, seeing 6 players drop over 20 points in a 1-point win for the Thunder. But in Game 2, the Bulls will recover, getting a win on their home court. In OKC, the Bulls will snatch Game 3, but the following game would be in favor of the Thunder. Russ went crazy, saving them from being down 3-1, but it was thought to be from down 3-2. Bill dropped 39 points in Game 5, and Chicago was just 1 win away. But then there was Kevin Durant, dropping 21 points, snatching 20 boards, and dishing out 10 assists. He even had 6 blocks and would be forcing a Game 7 in the 2015 NBA Finals. And in said Game 7, the Thunder would be the ones coming out on top, claiming their first championship in over 3 decades. But on the bright side, Derrick would be improving as a defender. In Season 5, the Bulls were Raptors tied for the best record in the East, but the Bulls lost the tiebreaker, ending up with the 2nd seed. And in the first round, we're up against the Pacers. This time the series went 7 games, Knicks. But in Game 7, Indiana crumbled and the Bulls won by 44 points, including a 30-point triple-double for D. Rose. Next up was Miami, but instead of LeBron James, they had Rajon Rondo and Danny Granger. Despite the great roster on paper, they weren't getting any younger, and the Bulls took advantage of that, sweeping them to head forward. And here was Toronto again, but apparently the Bulls were just better, sweeping them once again, heading to Derrick's third straight NBA Finals appearance. And here was OKC once again standing in our way. Coming off an MVP season, Russell Westbrook looked like the best player in the league. The Thunder were at home for Game 1 and took advantage, starting the series off with a win. But in Game 2, there will be Jimmy Butler stealing the show, and in Games 3 and 4, the Bulls kept chipping away at OKC's title chances, gaining a 3-1 series lead. In Game 5 though, the Thunder had 5 players drop 20 points or more. Russ and KD also had triple doubles of their own, becoming the only duo in finals history to do this in the same game. But in Game 6, D. Rose captured her second championship in 3 years, and that means she was getting another upgrade from the champion wheel. But in the 2016 offseason, things got interesting. Derrick wanted a max deal, but the Bulls didn't want to pay him what he wanted, so he signed a 1-year deal with the New York Knicks. And in this season, he would play 40 minutes a game, putting up insane numbers, and win his 3rd MVP. And alongside him was Carmelo Anthony, who helped lead the Knicks to 61 wins. They beat the Atlanta Hawks in the first round in only 6 games, but next was the 4th seeded Chicago Bulls. Game 1 was very close to say the least. The Knicks put out a 2-point win in overtime, while Derrick had an insane game to start the series. They also won Game 2 and they were looking good. Game 3 also went to overtime, but this time it was the Bulls who came out with a win. But over the next 2 games, Derrick averaged 41 points, 7 rebounds, and 15 assists as the Knicks would come out on top. And after years of waiting, we'd finally get a matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers. But unfortunately, it wouldn't be what it was hyped up to be. The Knicks would take all 4 games and they'd surprisingly sweep the Cavaliers. And guess who was in the finals again? Yep, it was OKC versus D. Rose for the 4th straight year. Although the Knicks had been on a roll all throughout the playoffs, the Thunder was still Game 1 in MSG. However, the next 3 games would be going to New York. But in Game 5, it seemed as if the Monsters got a hold of the Knicks. They shot a horrid 29% from the field, and OKC began to pick up steam. But the train ride wouldn't be for too long, as the Knicks bounced back and won Derrick's 3rd championship. And this time, he'd be getting a boost to his block rating. In Season 7, D. Rose would be on the move again, landing in Cleveland with LeBron, AD, and Kyrie. We can all picture how this season went. Winning 68 games, the Cavaliers were by far the best team in the league, but it didn't seem that way when the playoffs came around. In the first round, the Wizards fought against the Cavaliers, stretching out the series as far as they could. In Game 7 though, the Cavaliers came to play, locking out the Wizards to head to the next round. Next up was New York, who replaced Derrick Rose with Kevin Love, but his impact was nothing compared to our star, as we started off the series with a 3-0 lead. While they managed to win Game 4, we finished the series off at home and were facing Orlando in the conference finals. This team had a very formidable roster with Eric Gordon, Gordon Hayward, and a 39-year-old Kobe Bean Bryant. And apparently, the Mamba mentality was very active because they'd stomp us throughout the series. After 6 games of fighting, Cleveland was going back home, and back to the mystery boxes, he'd get better as an inside defender. And heading into Season 8, he'd be on the move again, this time heading west towards Minnesota. Up against the Kings, the Timberwolves would go back and forth until Game 5, where the Kings gained a 3-2 series lead. But in Game 6, Derrick dropped 41 points, forcing a Game 7. And in the following game, Rose and Booker had an insane performance, pushing ahead to the next round. The next matchup was Golden State. It seemed to be an easy series, as the team would start off 3-0. And with that lead, Minnesota was on cruise mode to the conference finals, or so they thought. Game by game, the Warriors topped the series at 3 apiece. The Timberwolves will be yet another Game 7, and in said game, it was Stephen Curry putting up a masterclass. He dropped 42 points and 11 assists, sending Derrick Rose home once again. And for Season 9, Derrick was on the move once again. This time, he'd be playing with Nikola Jokic and DeJounte Murray. Interestingly enough, it was Jokic who ended up winning MVP, and as the 5 seed, they'd be facing Atlanta in the first round, who had John Wall and Zach LaVine leading the way. The Hawks won the first 2 games at ATO and came to Detroit taking Game 3. Against the Wall though, the Pistons will win Game 4 at home. They also went to Atlanta and won Game 5, making this series 3-2. And in Game 6, Detroit took yet another game, tying this series at 3 apiece. In Game 7, Rose scored 24 points along with 12 boards and 14 assists. However, it was the Hawks who be winning this game. And for his final upgrade, he did off strong, messing out all of their defensive badges. And for the final season, Derrick Rose will finish out in New York City, reuniting with Melo and the addition of Kevin Love. The Knicks finished with 68 wins. Derrick Rose also got his 3rd MVP award with averages of 26, 7, and 9. In the first round of 2021 playoffs, we're facing the Cleveland Cavaliers. At Madison Square, the Knicks will win the first 2 games, along with still one in Cleveland. While the Cavs managed to win Game 4, it was already over for them, as the Knicks got it done by Game 6. Next up was a very talented young roster from DC, but no matter how good they were, the Knicks put off a gentleman's sweep. And in the Eastern Conference Finals, it was Derrick's hometown Chicago Bulls. Starting off the series, Game 1 was an overtime thriller that had the Garden electric, resulting in a very close Knicks win. The Knicks also took Game 2 by just a single point. Flying to Chicago for Game 3, the Knicks dominated, giving the Bulls less hope every passing moment. But But in Game 4, the Bulls managed to win a game. The Knicks were back at MSG, and the series would end there. And in the 2021 NBA Finals, it would be the Knicks versus Lakers. Starting the series in NYC, the Knicks quickly jumped out with a game, but in the next one, it was the Lakers who would be still in the show. But in Game 3, Carmelo will score 38 points, showing why he was the best second option in the league at the moment. The Knicks also won Game 4, showing no mercy to LA fans. And after a 37-11 game for D. Rose, he won his 4th NBA title, securing his Hall of Fame basketball career. But what if we saved another young star dealing with injuries? Click here to find out what happens.